What is good, Jacob Unisport here with another tech talk, because ever since the release we've had a ton of questions about the difference between the Hypervenom Phantom and the Hypervenom Phinish. And with the release of the TechCraft pack, those questions have only grown in numbers. So I decided to have a sit down and really shed some light on the difference between the two boots. And if you want to know more and get a bit deeper in the difference between the Phantom and the Phinish, you better stay right here with me. So first of all, with the two boots being so closely related, there are actually also a lot of similarities between the Phantom and the Phinish. And the biggest one is that they share the same upper, made out of this Nike skin mesh combination with little elastic fibers in between that gives you a really dampened soft touch on the ball, whether you dribble or especially when you strike the ball. And also they both feature these flywire cables going through the upper, offering a lot of lockdown to really keep your foot on the plate, making both the Phantom and the Phinish a really responsive boot. Also, the Phantom and the Phinish share the same sole plate, apart obviously from the fact that the Phantom has a bit more of a funky, jazzy graphic to really remind the opponent you just beat that he got absolutely destroyed. But apart from that, it's just a graphic. And the functionality is exactly the same, giving you this relatively flexible sole plate and conical studs to give you a pretty decent maneuverability thanks to the rotational movements of the studs. It's all really good on both the Phinish and the Phantom. Also, both boots feature ACC, they have the same insoles. And are there really that many differences from the Phantom to the Phinish? The answer is yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this episode, would I? The biggest difference is obviously the Flyknit dynamic fit collar on the Phantom, but actually both boots are made to give you a really seamless sensation when you put them on your feet, with the Phinish being made without an actual tongue. Instead, it has this one-piece Vapor 10-like, rather stretchy construction that gives you a really minimalistic but also very comfortable sensation when you wear them. On the other hand, the Phantom really takes things to the next level, going for an even more seamless, distractionless, sock-like fit with the dynamic fit collar. Now, because of that, the Phantom offers you this really free, sock-like sensation around your heel and your ankle, basically because you have this off-center seam, but also because there's not really anything there to make you feel like you have a boot on. On the other hand, the Phinish is going to give you exactly that, a really solid sensation with a lot of lockdown, really keeping your heel in place, not giving you the sensation that your foot is going to move around, like you're probably going to feel a bit more in the Phantom. And simply you get the sensation that the Phinish gives you a bit more boot around your ankle and your foot in general, because, well, there is more boot. Let's face it, at least more than the Flyknit on the Phantom. And the increased lockdown on the Phinish compared to the Phantom also means that this is one of the best boots out there on the market when it comes to lockdown and responsiveness. Just saying. But which is better? Well, that's pretty much up to you. You want the solid feel of the Phinish or the more free sock-like sensation of the Phantom? I can't decide that for you. Now, another difference is when it comes to the area where the tongue is supposed to be. And I say that because, well, neither of the boot really has got a tongue. But anyway, on the Phantom, this is actually the area where the Flyknit is merged onto the synthetic Nike skin mesh upper. And thus we have the Flyknit going underneath the area where the laces actually go through the synthetic upper. So we have the Flyknit, the laces, and then the synthetic upper. And that means that you get a really smooth transition from Flyknit to synthetic, but it also means that you get a bit more of a solid feeling with a few more layers on top of your foot in this area. Comparing this to the Phinish, we have a much more minimalistic sensation where you have a construction with a really thin, stretchy synthetic with the laces going through that so they sit directly on top of your foot. Which is better is actually up to you to decide. Again, it's a very personal thing. And finally, both boots are on the light side. But with both of them being Yoda green, I wouldn't expect anything less. But lame jokes aside, with the dynamic fit color, the Phantom was always going to be a bit more heavy than the Phinish, weighing in at 212 grams, with the Phinish coming in at 200 grams. But to be honest, unless you're really obsessed with weight, you're not really going to feel the difference in the heat of the battle. I just thought I should mention it anyway. Now, these differences between the Phantom and the Phinish also actually apply on the TechCraft versions of the Hypervenoms that do, however, separate themselves from the synthetic Lightning Storm pack by having actual leather uppers. And yeah, I did say leather uppers because instead of just slapping a piece of leather on top of the synthetic, it seems like Nike actually replaced the Nike Skin Mesh upper with a super thin premium piece of kangaroo leather and added a really soft inner lining on top of that, or on the inside of that actually, to give you a super pliable and really soft experience, keeping actually the flywire threads on both boots. So to put things how they are, if you want a Hypervenom, you have a few decisions to make because there are a lot of options, as you can see. The first decision you have to make is, how do you like your heel? Do you want the more solid traditional fit of the Phinish, or do you like the more free sock-like sensation of the Phantom? And after that, you need to decide if you want the synthetic version with more lockdown, or if you prefer the TechCraft version with a softer, more comfortable upper. Me, I'd probably go for the TechCraft Phinish because it reminds me of the Hypervenom 1 with a bit more lockdown and a really soft leather upper. One thing that's also important to know is that all of these 4 models are top tier boots. So the Phinish is not a downgrade from the Phantom, it's just another option. And speaking of options, which boot do you prefer? You should let me know in the comment section below, because this was all I have for you for today. But as always, we're back again later with more Unisport Web TV. I'm signing off. Cheerio.